I just want to start by saying how proud I am of all the friends who have turned in the beginning to their second realistic fiction stories. I love how you are bringing your stories to life by using interesting beginnings to hook your reader, by using how the characters feel, using some dialogue, using sounds, or exploring the setting of the story, which is really cool. So last week, you should have written at least the first, and if not the second page of our story, where you're introducing your character to the reader. So you get to know what that character looks like, what that character does, where that character is. And all of this is leading up to the problem in our story. Because remember, in our realistic fiction stories, our characters get into trouble or the problem, and then we have to get them out of that trouble. Well, today our mini lesson on the screen, you're going to see my teaching point, is today I want to teach you different ways to bring our stories to life. So that way we can write page 3 of our nonfiction text, or our fiction text, which is going to be the problem in our story, okay? So we are going to work through this little deck today to think about the 2 ways that we can bring our characters to life. So, we should hopefully know and remember by now from our small moment books that the main way that we can bring our stories to life is by unfreezing the characters or the people in our story. We can make them move, so we can share the actions that they're doing and make our pictures match those actions, and we can make our characters talk through using dialogue. Now, in the beginning, in a small moment story, we just use speech bubbles. You can still use speech bubbles in your pictures. I love speech bubbles. But now we are going to try to be a little bit more I can't say that word, fancy first graders and almost second graders, and move into having our characters actually talk using dialogue, which are our quotation marks. So today we are going to be using quotation marks for dialogue, so just like we see in the books that we are reading. Now let's just review that anything that's inside of a quotation mark is somebody talking in your story. You use dialogue tags to tell us how that person is saying that dialogue, okay? So for example, if you take a look at our screen, I wrote a little bit of dialogue from my story from last week about Penny and her cat Buttons. So it says, Penny looked at Buttons and said, so you can see she is saying this because it's in quotations now, I think you are the best cat ever. Then we have a period, end of quotation. Buttons smiled and was happy. Quotations. Are you hungry, Buttons? Question mark quotation. Asked Penny. Penny and Buttons ate tuna fish sandwiches. I just love these sandwiches, laughed Penny. So you can see there are different examples of what Penny is saying in our book, and you can tell what she is saying in the quotation marks and how she is saying it in our dialogue text. So let's dig in a little bit deeper into this, because can be a little bit tricky, and I'm not expecting anyone to be doing quotation marks and dialogue 100% perfect, because this takes a long time. I know adults who still have a hard time with using quotation marks correctly. So we're just going to try our best, and if we want to try to add this to our writing, let's try to add it to our writing, okay? If you're a little bit unsure, just try maybe one out, and then continue to use your speech bubbles. So there's different ways that we can use dialogue. So we're going to learn 2 ways, okay? The first way is when the character talks before you tell the reader how they are saying that. So here are some examples. I can't find my keys, Mom yelled. Where did you go? Asked Kylie. I need to go to bed, said Jack. So you'll notice in all of those sentences, the character talks first, and then the dialogue tag happens at the end. So I gave us 3 different ways in which you would end the quotation. So the first one is with an exclamation mark. So if your sentence is a sentence that needs an exclamation mark, you put that exclamation mark there and then put your quotation mark after it. I can't find my keys. That's all in quotations. And then right after that, Mom yelled. Or you could say, yelled Mom. And then you can put your period at the end of that, because that is the end of a sentence. Then the next one said, quotation, where did you go? Now that's a question sentence, so it needs a question mark at the end with quotations. And then I added asked Kylie, which is our dialogue tag. And then we end it with a period. And the last one, I need to go to bed. Now, this was a tricky one because I need to go to bed is just a normal sentence, but this is where it gets weird. You don't put a period there, you put a comma. So I need to go to bed, comma, with a quotation mark, said Jack. And then that would be your sentence. And you either will use a comma for a simple telling sentence or an exclamation or question mark for a sentence that needs it. Okay? So this is one way that you can use quotation marks. Now, the other way we're going to talk about is where use the quotation marks after the dialogue tag. Okay? So this is a couple examples here where it says Sophia, and I can't believe I didn't catch that. Sophia screamed, then there's a comma, quotation mark, watch out for the puddle! Exclamation mark and quotation mark to end what she's saying. And the second one is Aliana asked, comma, quotation marks, do you want to go to the movies? Question mark, quotation mark. You need to start the quotation with an uppercase letter and use a comma before the quotations. So that just kind of shows us that you're transitioning from a dialogue tag to what the character is saying. And then you start with what the character is saying with an uppercase letter because it's the beginning of a sentence of what the character is saying. Okay? So Sophia screamed, comma, then our quotation marks, uppercase letter, watch out for the puddle! Exclamation mark, end it with a quotation. So I know that this is kind of a lot, but you can always think about how can I use my quotation marks to the best of my ability during my writing to bring it to life? So now we're going to take a look at an example here. So we can use dialogue to help our characters or to think about how characters get in trouble and to bring the problem of our story to life. So you can use dialogue to tell the reader about the trouble a character gets into. This is the problem in your story. And then we are going to look at Mila's book from last week, okay? So in Mila's book, and I'm actually going to hide myself here and just talk while you guys take a look here. In Mila's story, we're going to take a look at the problem in her book and the one page leading up to the problem and then the problem. So here is her page 2. It says, one day Lily and Snowflake were having an evening snack in the field. Lily was eating Rice Krispie treats and Snowflake was eating a carrot. Then she rode Snowflake around the field a couple of times when suddenly the ground started shaking. ... So you can see she actually was trying to pull us in and hook us into what the problem in our story was going to be. And then she starts this page with earthquake in all uppercase letters. Lily screamed. Her horse neighed loudly, and Lily and Snowflake were so scared. Nay! The ground started cracking, the trees fell over. They didn't know what to do. And so you can see that our friend Mila is already bringing her story to life by using actions, right? She's saying that they were so scared, so how they felt. Then she said the ground was starting to shake and crack and trees fell over. So those were actions to tell us more about the problem in our story. And Mila's already starting to try to bring her characters to life by having them say dialogue. So it says, earthquake, Lily screamed. And so if we were to look at this, we could ask Mila to put quotation marks around earthquake, and then she would have her dialogue written correctly there, and it'd be so amazing. And so Mila should be so proud of herself for already thinking about how she can bring her story to life through dialogue. Now, so in Mila's, let's just take a look at the screen really quickly here. Mila's already showing us how to unfreeze, like I said, her characters. Sorry, Handel is all over my computer right now. He is right here. And make them move. She is starting to have characters talk as well. And Mila can have her characters talk through how they are feeling and thinking. So, for example, she could say, quotation, I don't know what to do, cried Lily. Or where should we go? Asked Lily. And so we can bring it to life by having them say what they're thinking as well. And so my ask, goodness, Handel. So my ask for you, first grade, as you go off to do your third page today, which is the problem your character gets into, I want you to think about how you can make your characters talk and move to bring the problem in your story to life. The problem should not just be one sentence in your book, right? It should fill up the entire page. You can stretch it out across the page and bring your characters to life. So that is your job today. So in Seesaw, you are just, hello, Handel, going to do your third page and then upload it, which is, do you see his face? The problem in our story. And then we'll meet back tomorrow to talk about how to get our characters out of trouble. Okay, first grade? So go off, have fun with your writing. I can't wait to read it. Bye.